Excellency Everton Frasque Lucero, Vice Minister for Climate Change in Brazil. Ambassador Antônio Marcondes, Undersecretary for Environment, Energy, Science and Technology, Brazil. Minister Kimmo Tiilikainen for the Environment, Finland. The Executive Director Fatih Birol of the International Energy Agency. Mr. Dolf Gielan, Director of the International Renewable Energy Agency, in representation of the Director General, Mr. Adnan Amin. And Secretary, Vice Minister Carlos Colache, Secretary for Environment, Water and Climate Change of Uruguay. Well, before we really start the ceremony, I will pass the floor to Ambassador Marcondes to arrange the endorsement of the vision statement and the official picture for this event. Thank you. Não, esse é pro Everton.
Não, esse aqui é.
Não, esse aí é pro Everton.
Ah, tá.
Esse aqui é o seu mais informal.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's a pleasure to see you all here. The minister, José Sarney Filho, asked me to pass on to you all his very profound apologies at this initiative, which is of utmost importance for Brazil and for all of us here. Unfortunately, he was feeling unwell, so he will be unable. He'll be unable to attend tonight. But he has asked me to pass on his gratitude for the tireless work in these last few months and year. Actually, I think we are about to turn 1 year, and 1 year has gone into this. In the 9 months we've worked on this declaration with so many countries. The Secretary Everton Lucero, he will be delivering the statement that Minister Sanei was going to deliver here, and I wish now to very briefly to formalize our collective endorsement of the Biofuture Vision Statement. And at this point in time, I would invite all representatives from the heads of the delegations for us to Renato. Where is Renato? To the left, yes, to my left, to the right of the podium, please, for a family picture, please.
So we invite the representatives of Argentina, Brazil, Canada, China, Denmark, Egypt, Finland, France, India, Indonesia, Italy, Morocco, Mozambique, the Netherlands, Paraguay, Philippines, Sweden, United Kingdom, and Uruguay. And since the Biofuture platform, although being led by countries, is also a multi-stakeholder effort, we also invite the heads and high-level representatives of the organizations which have provided support to the development of the vision statement and the platform's activities: the International Energy Agency, the International Renewable Energy Agency, and the UNFCCC. Eu já li isso aqui, ó. Você continua com esse aqui.
Eu vou aqui?
E aqui. Essas duas partes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled to have the vision statement endorsed, and the vision statement is an integral part of the original Biofuture platform work plan formulated by the 20 Biofuture platform member countries. After extensive consultations, as I alluded to, on a draft outline, a draft text was prepared with the help of the international agencies and climate and energy experts. This draft has been refined and improved over 4 rounds of negotiation by the member countries. So we are now prepared to adopt the document entitled Scaling Up the Low-Carbon Bioeconomy, an Urgent and Vital Challenge, which you all have with you. Okay. Since we are pretty short of time, I will refrain from reading the text as you also have it. It has 4 general sections. The first one provides for the context on the unavoidable need to significantly scale up the low-carbon bioeconomy in the years ahead, and recognizes that this is an urgent and vital challenge. The second section provides a few key aspirational targets to set up this vision and guide the work of our countries. The third section presents a sample list of policies, actions, and instruments that are being taken around the world and that we can use as examples and inspiration. Finally, the last section sets up the work ahead of the Biofuture platform in helping collaboration and coordination among countries. While one country was not ready for this decision at this moment, 19 of our member countries of the Biofuture platform are endorsing this statement today. And I'll read the list of countries here. And at the same time, I think they're all sitting in the front. And I would like for them to be able to rise. Argentina, thank you. I think Brazil, Denmark, Egypt, Finland, France, India, Indonesia, Italy, Morocco, Mozambique, the Netherlands, Paraguay, the Philippines, Sweden, the United Kingdom, and Uruguay. Thank you all for being with us tonight. So I would then invite the Secretary of Climate Change from the Ministry of the Environment to deliver the statement Minister Sané was scheduled to do. Everton, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. At request of our Minister of Environment, Sarney Filho, who was unable to come, as explained by Ambassador, I will deliver the speech that he was supposed to in his name. So, Excellencies, Ministers and government authorities, representatives of international organizations and financial institutions, representatives of the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, what we have just accomplished here with the endorsement of the vision statement is quite remarkable. I recall that exactly 1 year ago, on the same date, our countries got together in Marrakesh because we were collectively worried that bioenergy and the transport sector were not getting the attention they deserved in the international agenda as indispensable parts of the portfolio of solutions required to overcome the greatest challenge facing humanity, quickly transitioning to a low-carbon economy. 1 year later, we are back here together as representatives of 20 leading countries in this field. And during this past year, I am happy to say we have made a lot of progress. The low-carbon bioeconomy is firmly back on everyone's agenda. The technology and the awareness of the need for bio-based solutions are finally coming together. With this strong vision statement to guide us, much needed policy action will start to follow, and along with new policies will arrive the investments that will help scale up a modern and sustainable sector to the levels required to fulfill our commitments to the climate and to the present and future generations. This is what the world needs, and this is the moment for us to start working harder towards this outcome. It is because we recognize the importance of this moment that the Brazilian government has decided to dedicate its own official COP23 side event, this one, for this very purpose. Our focus is on transport, industry, and the urgent need to scale up the low-carbon bioeconomy, not only in Brazil, but globally. When well used and stimulated with good policies, practices, and regulations, the bioeconomy can not only capture CO2 and provide low-carbon energy and materials, but also add value to agriculture, help with waste management, create high-quality jobs, promote technological development, and help preserve natural resources, among other benefits. With proper policies, which include protection and conservation of the environment, it is possible to produce food and biofuels globally for the existing fleet and infrastructure. And we need to prepare for the long-term uses of biofuels in aviation and long-haul transport, for which no true alternative to fossil fuel exists. We, the countries composing the Biofuture platform, are now leading the way and signaling unequivocally to investors and policymakers around the world that low-carbon bioenergy and bio-based products can represent a much larger market in the near future. I wish to thank you again for the trust you have put in the government of Brazil to serve as the interim facilitator for the Biofuture platform. We have worked with you throughout this year to implement the mandate you have given us. In January, during the Abu Dhabi Sustainably Week, in the IRENA headquarters, we held the first all-member meeting and put together the work plan for the first activities. Just 3 weeks ago, in October 24th and 25th in São Paulo, we hosted the Biofuture Summit, the first major policy conference of the Biofuture platform, fully joining government policy makers, industry, and academia to discuss the best ways to scale up the low-carbon bioeconomy. The two-day Biofuture Summit was attended by more than 300 delegates from 28 countries, and the high level and quality of the debate surpassed our expectations. It was held in partnership with Below 50, a corporate coalition supported by the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, aiming to promote low-carbon fuels. We have also participated as Biofuture platform facilitators in a number of international conferences, including the co-organization, again with Mission Innovation, of a special event during the Clean Energy Ministerial in Beijing this past July, highlighting to the high-level policymakers present the need to scale up the sustainable low-carbon bioeconomy. Last but not least, we have managed to agree on and are today launching a strong and ambitious vision statement to be followed by a broad and diverse range of countries. The work is only in the beginning. We are happy that the Biofuture platform and the message it tries to convey are raising interest in many parts of the world. We will need to move towards having more precise and measurable targets and indicators, and towards a plan for collective action at national level. As the facilitator, we tried our best to honor your trust in us. If you are willing to keep Brazil in this interim role, we will work to consolidate and expand the collaborative work. While international debate, dialogue, coordination and collaboration are very important, we must not forget that ultimately action happens at the national level. Industry has a fundamental role in this endeavor, and it's up to the national policies to create the environment for investments to come with the necessary scale and direction. Brazil is currently putting the final touches in a bold new policy to stimulate clean, efficient, low-carbon fuels in a way that is technological neutral, climate-friendly, environmentally responsible, scientifically sound, and economically smart. This new policy is called Renova Bio. It is my great pleasure to announce to you firsthand that the Renova Bio draft bill has just been submitted this last Tuesday to Brazil's National Congress. Based on the best aspects of leading policies such as the low-carbon fuel standards in the state of California in the US and Europe's Renewable Energy Directive, together with our own experience, Renova Bio uses carbon life cycle assessments and an advanced financial and market mechanism to take into account the positive externalities in low-carbon fuels and reward the cleanest and most efficient fuel producers, promoting competition and innovation, while at the same time expanding demand for clean transportation. We will hear a little bit more about this later during this event. Our hope is that Renova Bio becomes an example and inspiration for other countries. We are also aware that it will have to be constantly improved over time, and that by itself it may not be sufficient to reach our goals. Other countries' experiences are therefore very valuable to us as lessons to be learned. A series of new policies are being introduced around the world. During the Biofuture Summit in São Paulo, we learned from India's huge investments in 2G plants, China's new ethanol mandate, Finland's sustainable bioeconomy policy, UK's advanced biofuels program, the US billion-ton bioeconomy vision, and Canada's upcoming clean fuel standard, among others. Government policymakers directly responsible for those and other programs exchanged ideas in a series of fruitful and in-depth debates with participation from industry and academia. Things are starting to move in the low-carbon bioeconomy arena, but not nearly as fast as they should. As our own vision statement clearly advances, and as we will have the opportunity to hear today from the topmost leaders of the International Energy Agency and the International Renewable Energy Agency, we have an urgent and vital challenge ahead of us. May the year of 2017 be that year in which the world started to realize that the scaling up of the sustainable low-carbon bioeconomy is a necessity, as it can be a net positive for sustainability in all of its dimensions, for our economies, for the promotion of energy security and access for all. Thank you very much.
I now invite to take the floor Minister Kimmo Tiilikainen, Minister of the Environment, Finland. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, moderator. Dear friends, distinguished participants, ministerial colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. A year ago in Marrakesh, we, 20 countries altogether, launched the Biofuture platform. I would like to thank Brazil for taking the initiative and for successfully guiding us towards this moment. Finnish government has set a strategic goal for Finland. We would like to be forerunners in bioeconomy and circular economy. So it was self-clear that we would like to join this Brazilian initiative from the very beginning. Now we have the pleasure to confirm a common vision statement of the platform. This is a good achievement. Despite different national circumstances of the participating countries, we have a common vision. We are exceeding the global capacities to produce resources sustainably. A transition from a fossil pipeline economy to a bio-based circular economy is essential for a sustainable future. That's something that the world really needs. The vision statement clearly proves us that we have a common understanding about the direction of development in our economies. Together, we can set the course towards a low-carbon and resource-efficient society. It's important that the vision statement includes key actions, as concrete actions are needed to reach our common goals. All actors need to get involved. With wise policy measures like streamlining regulation and creating incentives, we can create and encourage business environment for bioeconomy investments. Finland is an open economy. International trade is important to us. And more than 20% of our export incomes comes from bioeconomy products, mainly from forest industry products. We are investing a lot to research and development to develop new kind of industrial bioproducts to replace non-renewable materials like plastics or concrete in building and construction. Bioeconomy is much more than bioenergy, but because energy belongs also to my portfolio, I will focus on the energy sector today. Forest-based biomass has a central role in Finland's energy economy. About 80% of our renewable energy is based on forest biomass. But we don't produce timber or we don't grow forest for energy purposes. We always produce it for industrial purposes, but a majority of bioenergy is coming from byproducts from forest industries, according to the principles of circular economy. Side streams are utilized for energy. But though the forests have huge economic value for us, forests are much more than a material resource. I would say that forests are in the hearts of Finnish people. They offer us recreation, natural habitats for wildlife, biodiversity, and of course, forests act as a carbon sinks because they are growing. The increment is much above the harvest rates. In Finland, nature management methods are employed in commercial forests too. Environmental and forest legislation and certification have been developed in order to find a balance between the various ways of using forests and enhancing sustainable forest management. Our forests are dear to us, and we are committed to managing them with care in future. Dear friends, Finland wants to lead the transition towards circular bioeconomy by example. In climate policy, we are strongly committed to the Paris Climate Agreement. We are determined to build a carbon-neutral Finland by 2045. Reaching this goal requires that our energy system becomes almost emission-free. Finland aims to raise the share of the renewable energy to more than 50% by the end of 2020s. Today, the share of renewable energy is already about 40% of the final consumption of all energy, electricity, heating, and energy used in transportation and traffic. Actually, this 40% today means that we have reached our 2020 climate target ahead of time. By 2030, we will phase out coal in energy production and cut by half the use of fossil oil. We have also set an ambitious target for the transport sector. We aim to a 30% share of renewable transport fuels by 2030. In advanced biofuels, Finland has a long experience and world-class know-how with our companies. The life cycle greenhouse gas emissions of these advanced biofuels are as much as 80 to 90% less than those of fossil fuels. And there are additional benefits. The increased domestic biofuel production strengthens our energy security and decreases the dependence on fossil fuels. We need to work together to promote efficient and sustainable use of bioenergy. It's an important part of the transition to a sustainable bio-based circular economy. Finland can contribute with strong experience and expertise in bioenergy and bioeconomy. Dear friends, I consider the Biofuture platform a very useful way to work together towards our shared vision. I welcome the vision statement and confirm that my country is committed to the goals and actions. Thank you very much.
I now invite to take the floor Mr. Carlos Colache, Vice Minister for Environment, Water and Climate Change, Uruguay.
Authorities, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to be here in this place, in this event. Thank you very much. Uruguay is part of the Biofuture platform since its first day. We are here today to reaffirm and subscribe the Biofuture vision statement, our common vision. For several years, Uruguay has been carrying out different programs and policies to promote practices and technologies that aim to protect the environmental and reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. An example of this is the transformation in the energy matrix with a strong incorporation of renewable energy. Thus, in 2016, we achieved the 97% of the electricity matrix and 61% of the primary matrix with renewable energy. This transformation has been possible through the application of a strong state energy policy. In this way, the promotion of energy efficiency and universal and safe access for all the social sectors has been a priority for us. We are advancing in the development of bioenergy in the country. Today, there are several investments in forest and agro-industrial waste that are being successfully used for the generation of electric and thermal energy. On the other hand, in 2007, the production of biofuels was enforced by law. In 2015, mandatory minimum of 5% ethanol and 5% biodiesel in the total fuel mix were introduced. In Uruguay, bioethanol and first-generation biodiesel are produced in agro-industrial complex that also produce human and animal food as well as electric power. In 2016, the BioValor projects organized in Montevideo the first Circular Economy Forum in Latin America, which was a great opportunity to design new projects in bioeconomy. Also in February of this year, a memorandum of understanding between the Uruguayan government and the government of Finland was signed on the subjects of bioeconomy and circular economy. Both countries are members of the Biofuture platform. It is also important to highlight prospective and strategic planning works that are being carried out by the National Office of Planning and Budget. The bioeconomy has been included as a high priority area, seeking to identify new productive opportunities based on biological products. In addition, a roadmap for innovation and knowledge of aviation biofuels was recently being prepared and included in the action plan for the reduction of carbon dioxide emission in civil aviation's activities in our country. Our first indices was presented yesterday in this COP. In that document, we reassured our commitment with the implementation of the Paris Agreement. Mitigation and adaptation measures was established and included for the energy sectors, transport, and waste sector. These goals of greenhouse gases reduction are to be achieved with the promotion of biofuels, electric transport, and waste recycling recovery. All the goals set and actions that Uruguay was developing are shared with the Biofuture platform. We are together here to share experience and innovations, to coordinate efforts and collaboration in response to these challenges. The future vision that we are subscribing today will be the framework to advance in a collective effort to limit the increase in the temperature of our planet and contribute with the implementation of the Paris Agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And now I will call here to take the floor Mr. Li Gao, Director General of the Department of Climate Change of the National Development and Reform Commission of China, to deliver a statement on behalf of Minister Xie from the NDRC Special Envoy for Climate Change. You have the floor, sir.
Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's my great honor to participate in this event. On behalf of China's Special Representative for Climate Change, Minister Xie Zhenhua, I hereby extend our congratulations to the Biofuture platform for the progress achieved in the past year. Climate change is a severe challenge to our planet. The GHG emission from the consumption of fossil fuels is a key reason for climate change. The international community is exploring ways to addressing climate change through optimizing energy structure, encouraging renewable energy development, and reducing fossil fuel consumption. With this abundant renewable raw materials and its integration with existing fuel systems, biofuels have been instrumental in reducing emissions and replacing existing fuels. The Chinese government attaches great importance to developing biofuels and have taken concrete measures To expand the sources of new and clean fuels is an important task of the 13th Five-Year Plan. The low-carbon development of aviation, maritime, transportation, and development of biomass energy are included in the implementation plan of controlling GHG emission during the 13th Five-Year Plan period. China has great potential in biofuel development. In recent years, the innovation of technology, the optimization of producing process, and diversification of raw materials provide great opportunities to the biofuel industry. China is willing to deepen the exchange with the members of the platform, learn from each other, and explore the effective approach of biofuel development. For the next step, China proposed the following. First, enhance the exchange and connections among members to discuss key issues in developing biofuels. Through problem-oriented work methods, we could strive to form possible proposals or solutions and promote transformative measures. Second, mobilize the participation of different stakeholders. We could enhance the cooperation among the governments, industries, and research institutes in achieving tangible development of the biofuel. I believe that with the effort of all members, a Biofuture platform will achieve new progress in the distribution and application of biofuels and contribute more to addressing climate change in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Li Gao, for the statement. We now invite to the floor and recognize the presence of the Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All, Ms. Rachel Kite. Please, you have the floor.
Boa noite. Good evening. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to congratulate, I think, everybody, all of the partners in the Biofuture platform on the vision statement. I warmly remember the event in Marrakesh last year, and I was very sad not to be able to be in Brazil earlier this year. But I think that this is a fundamentally important component part of the energy transition, the piece that I worry about every morning and before I go to bed every night. And the speed with which we need to move through that energy transition in a way in which we take everybody with us and provide everybody with reliable and affordable energy services is at the very heart of the ambition of the Paris Agreement. And I think here in Bonn, in the spirit of Bula, we have seen that if we come together in the Bonn zone, in partnerships between the private sector and government, also with technical assistance and with academic bodies and with civil society, that we are capable of mapping out the critical path through that transition, the one that will take us where we need to go faster, where we at a better price, not the most expensive way to do it, and one which is inclusive and one which allows for energy to be affordable for everyone. So obviously you don't need me to say that sustainable bioenergy is going to be an essential part of the transportation energy nexus. It's going to be an essential part of the provision of clean fuels for cooking, the absence of which affects 2.8 billion people today. It's going to be material in improving the health and well-being of those 2.8 billion people and so many others. And so I just wanted to very briefly commend the leadership within the Biofuture platform, recommit sustainable energy for all to the platform and in particular to this vision statement, and to say that the work that we will be doing over the next 2 to 3 years, focusing on how we leave no one behind, focusing on how we have a revolution in efficiency, and focusing on the kind of sustainable energy diplomacy that's needed and the collaboration that is needed at the national, regional and international level to move through this transition as quickly as possible is something that means that this becomes a very important part of who we are. So on behalf of the Secretary General, on behalf of everybody involved in SE for All, on behalf of the movement of people who care about universal access, a massive increase in the rate in which renewables are entering to the system and who want to see a revolution in energy productivity, this is a very, very important subject matter. I hope that it moves up the agenda when we get to Katowice, and I look forward to working with you all for success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel, for those very keen observations. For now, we invite to take the floor Mr. Dolph Gielan, Director of IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency, to deliver a statement on behalf of Adnan Amin, Director General of IRENA. You have the floor, sir.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from our Director General Adnan Amin, who had really hoped to be with you here tonight, but who unfortunately is down with flu. So allow me to make a statement on his behalf. We wish to congratulate you on the progress of the Biofuture platform since its launch at COP22 in Marrakesh and its first all-member meeting last January at IRENA's headquarters in Abu Dhabi. The vision statement developed over the course of the last year provides an ambitious way forward for achieving a sustainable energy future, with bioenergy playing an essential role in it. IRENA looks forward to continuing to support these efforts and thanks Brazil for its leadership in steering the Biofuture platform. Globally, renewable deployment continues to grow with a record of new renewable power capacity added last year. The drive to combat climate change is providing further impetus for renewable energy deployment. We launched a study earlier this year in the G20 context and in collaboration with the International Energy Agency on decarbonization of the energy sector in line with the well below 2 target of the Paris Agreement. The report finds that by 2050, renewables and energy efficiency would meet 90% of the emissions reduction needed. Bioenergy plays a key role in this long-term vision, providing nearly 40% of final renewable energy use in 2050. IRENA is actively promoting bioenergy deployment together with its 150 member countries to make this happen. We believe that this energy transformation is not only technically feasible but also economically attractive, as it will fuel economic growth and create new employment opportunities. Our findings show that global GDP will be boosted by around 0.8% in 2050 and renewable energy jobs would reach 26 million from around 10 million today. Bioenergy can contribute significantly to the creation of these benefits. While renewables have made rapid progress in the power sector, a successful energy transformation must also scale up renewables in end-use sectors, such as buildings, transport and industry. Efficient and modern bioenergy is particularly important for decarbonizing industrial process heat and power. It's also vital for cooking and space conditioning in buildings. But perhaps most important of all, we will need liquid biofuels to displace petroleum-based fuels for heavy transport and aviation. Despite this tremendous potential, various barriers to rapid bioenergy scale-up exist. It is vital to explain to the public both the sustainable potential for bioenergy and the potential for bioenergy to enhance sustainability. This initiative can contribute towards conveying this message while also building global consensus on policies needed for realizing bioenergy's full potential. In the climate context, most countries now recognize the importance of renewables for decarbonization efforts and reference them in their nationally determined contributions. However, our just released NDC report finds that new renewable power capacity which came online in 2015 and 2016 exceeded the amount foreseen in the NDCs by a factor 2. Thus, there is significant potential to more ambitious targets and increased shares of renewables, including bioenergy. The current review process of NDCs provides an important opportunity for countries to revise these plans and raise their level of ambition. And in this context, IRENA is establishing a new facility to provide strategic planning and technical support to all countries that are seeking to do so. We congratulate once more Brazil's continued leadership on bioenergy, particularly through the Biofuture platform's vision statement. IRENA looks forward to working with you all to promote bioenergy to accelerate the energy transformation worldwide. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my remarks. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Since we are, sorry for a small change in program, since the representative of IEA is a bit late for his speech and will be coming towards the end of the conference. I wish now to invite to the floor Mr. Marcelo Poppe of the Center for Strategic Studies and Management in Science, Technology and Innovation to highlight one of the deliverables of the Biofuture platform, aside from the vision statement. In preparation is a report on the state of the low-carbon bioeconomy being made with the data provided by the countries. And Marcelo was in charge of a part of this process and will explain to us a bit more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Renato. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor for the Center for Strategic Studies and Management to co-organize this meeting with Brazil. The Biofuture Summit, earlier mentioned by the Secretary Everton, showed a clear emerging consensus among the many views expressed by the 47 speakers and the public of policymakers around a few key messages. Bioenergy needs to be urgently scaled up, along with an expanded bioeconomy for advanced bioproducts and biomaterials in order to fight climate change. There is ample feedstock potential to be sustainably tapped through smart agricultural practices, intensification of livestocks, second generation and other advanced biofuels, high-density energy crops, and using rural and urban waste. Besides the climate advantage, the bioeconomy offers huge opportunities for job creation, sustainable development, technological innovation, agriculture intensification, and energy security. Both smart policies and stable frameworks will be needed to level the playing field and overcome the huge challenges facing the sector, including boost investments, reduce policy uncertainty, provide capital for early-stage technologies, cease fossil fuel subsidies, and the delivery of a comprehensive sustainability framework. The Biofuture platform plays a key role to achieving a sustainable low-carbon bioeconomy, providing a strong signal to markets and investors regarding its importance to transport and industry. Besides The Biofuture Platform Working Program includes producing a state of the Advanced Low Carbon Bioeconomy Report based on the information provided by the member countries of the platform and the Sustainable Biofuels Innovation Challenge of Mission Innovation. For that purpose, the Center for Strategic Studies and Management, CGE for short, a civil society organization supporting the Biofuture platform, assisted the interim facilitator in the design of a questionnaire in partnership with IEA, IRENA, and officials of the member countries. The questionnaire was, in a first round, fulfilled by IEA and IRENA, and later sent to the countries' representatives to complete the information. For this was used an online survey tool developed by CGE. It aims to identify the countries' efforts to develop and deploy advanced biofuels and bioproducts, and see what policies and regulatory measures are in place. The questionnaire purpose is to obtain a wide view of countries' policies, production, consumption, technology, projects, and institutional arrangements concerning a low-carbon bioeconomy. The figures in the display show the first finds of the survey. The questions address several points such as level of importance of low-carbon bioeconomy for the climate change strategy of the countries, share of biofuels and bioproducts in the transport and in the industry, targets for 2030, most promising opportunities, ways bioproducts are produced, regulations concerning specifications, blends, sustainability, figures for consumption, production, and trade, cost, feedstocks and land use, support mechanism, drivers, and challenges, main R&D and industrial players, investments. So far, 18 out of 22 countries, plus the European Commission, have completed the responses to the questionnaire. We are waiting now for the 4 remaining countries. The draft report will be built via the Way Carbon Consultancy and Institute Economy report by UNFCCC COP24 in November 2018. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcelo, for this comprehensive presentation. So we've had an overview of the other outputs of the Biofuture platform and the work that has been done throughout the year and is intended for next year. We'd like now to invite here to the podium Mr. Alfredo Sirkis, Executive Secretary of the Climate Change Forum, to sit here and compose the podium. And invite to take the floor at this moment Mr. Plinio Nastari, Councillor, official representative of the National Council for Energy Policy in Brazil, to give us a highlight of what our minister's statement said, that real action happens at national level. And so we'll have a sample of this policy called RenovaBio that Brazil is implementing in line with the goals that are being set out in the vision statement of the Biofuture platform. Plinio, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Facilitator. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be speaking about RenovaBio, which is this innovative proposal which has been presented in Brazil. Innovation and efficiency in biofuel production and use is at the center of Brazil's strategy for the use of low-carbon sources of energy. RenovaBio is not a subsidy. It's not about carbon tax. It can be defined briefly in 2 words: induction and recognition. Induction of increased efficiency in production and use. Recognition of each biofuel's ability to promote decarbonization. What is the target? A market-driven mechanism to promote expansion of biofuel and bioenergy in final energy demand, including sea and air transport, based on sustainable practices and increased energy and environmental efficiency. What is the mechanism? A voluntary certification of biofuel producers for their energy environmental efficiency based on life cycle assessment, which will determine ability to request the issuance of decarbonization credits, called CBIOs. Financial institutions will issue decarbonization credits to be freely negotiated in public exchange. And long-term country carbon reduction targets for the fuel sector will be established, leading to yearly fuel distributor carbon reduction targets to be met with the acquisition of CBIOs. How this is going to work? We are going to be, through the voluntary certification, be measuring energy efficiency and environmental efficiency. And each producer will receive a grade, which will be given by this fraction, defined by grams of CO2 equivalent per megajoule. This fraction will be, this grade will be compared with the index for each fossil fuel it is being substituted. And the larger the difference, the higher the grade. This grade will be multiplied by the volume sold, and this will determine the ability to request the issuance of decarbonization credits. RenovaBio is a market-driven carbon pricing mechanism. It's about endogenous, not exogenous determination, rewarding achievement of individual efficiency, not a common or equal coverage. It unleashes market forces to implement and drive innovation to increase competitiveness in biofuel, bioenergy production. It stimulates continued demand growth independent of government mandate. RenovaBio does not elect or predefine champions. Expansion of bioenergy will be driven by energy environmental efficiency and sustainable production. Brazil will be taking advantage of its distribution system, whereby hydrous ethanol is sold in a network of over 41,000 distribution stations, pumps, over 60,000 pumps distributing hydrous ethanol, which is used by a fleet which is flex, and it's 65% of the total fleet today. A distribution system where anhydrous ethanol is being blended at 27% in volume in all gasoline nationwide, which means that Brazil, for a long time already, is being used mid-level blends. And also nationwide blending of 8% biodiesel at the moment, which is going to be risen to 10% by March 2018. What is biofuels in our view? Biofuels is solar energy captured, stored, and distributed in an efficient, economical, and safe manner. It's actually hydrogen captured, stored, and distributed in an efficient, economical, and safe manner. What is the objective? The objective is to stimulate and reward investments in efficiency, competitiveness, leading to lower costs and lower prices to consumers, and sustainable bioenergy expansion. RenovaBio is a reward for those who do right, not a punishment for those who do wrong. It's a market-driven mechanism for carbon pricing. It stimulates private investment for expansion of energy, environmental efficiency, biofuel, bioenergy production. And I'm glad to say that, as has been announced already, it has been submitted as a legislative proposal to the Brazilian Congress by a public law number 9086 by Congressman Evandro Gussi from the Green Party. And our expectation is that it's voted under urgent status. RenovaBio is a simultaneous policy which addresses objectives in the areas of energy, environment, agriculture, industry, social and economic development, and economy reform. It has been subject to public consultation and has received the formal support of over 54 civil society organizations and sectoral associations. It's a relevant strategy for achievement of Brazil's commitments before the climate agreement. And additional information is provided in the page which has been distributed to you in your seats. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Plinio Nastari. Now we invite to make use of the floor the Executive Secretary of the Climate Change Forum in Brazil, Mr. Alfredo Hélio Sirquis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Brazil had a pioneer role in biofuels since the 1970s, since the first oil crisis. We had the Proalco project. Unfortunately, it was abandoned, and many years later, we come back in full force, pressed by climate change. And the project that was just presented, the RenovaBio, is extremely important because it is an example of positive pricing of carbon reduction based on paragraph 108 of the Paris decision, that is the preamble of the Paris Agreement, where we attribute value, and this has been done by 196 governments that signed the Paris Agreement. So we attribute value for mitigation action, economic, social, and environmental value. This is one of the possible mechanisms, and it works a little bit like the big carrot. Of course, we also need the stick, because fossil fuels will not go away easily. And in Brazil, there has been a resistance of notorious lobbies that fight for fossil fuel. There's a question of a huge subsidy up to 2040. And there are other measures, especially in the automobile sector, that want to restrict even measures, modest measures of trying to enhance the efficiency of diesel and gasoline. So, but this is something we'll have to take care for ourselves in Brazil. The important thing is that there's a world trend towards biofuels, and this we'll have to figure out in the future in the transportation sector how far it will go, how far electrification will go. For the time being, both are extremely important, both are necessary. And one thing that we have realized in Brazil in the last years is basically the importance of biofuels also for the generation of electricity, where you have a double win possibility, where first you have negative emissions when actually the vegetation or the forests for this purpose are growing, and then there's the possibility to reduce emissions that normally would be created, in the case of Brazil, by gas plants, using this biofuel also for electricity. So I think we are in the beginning of something very important, very exciting, and I'm extremely happy to see that this initiative that started last year in Marrakesh is now flourishing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Serkis. We are approaching the end of this conference, and we had a schedule problem with Mr. Fatih Birol, the head of the IEA, who is in moderating another meeting, and we were a bit ahead of schedule. So he didn't have the time to come here, but on his behalf, I invite to take the floor Mr. Cédric Philibert, Principal Analyst for Renewable Energy in the IEA, to deliver his statement. Mr. Cédric.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very sorry about that. Please accept Fatih Birol's apologies for being stuck in moderating another event. But I have his speech. And he would have said, Dear Ministers, Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to be here at this Biofuture Platform event. We congratulate Brazil for taking the lead in this initiative, which is very relevant and timely for a number of reasons. But first, we were delighted when, at the end of October, Brazil became an IEA association country. Bioenergy will be an important area for our cooperation, together with many other IEA family countries participating to the platform, including China, India, Indonesia, Morocco, and others. The IEA gives great importance to bioenergy in the context of the overall energy mix. Today, modern bioenergy, excluding traditional uses of biomass, contributes 5 times as much to final energy consumption than wind and solar combined. Most importantly, there is no climate change mitigation scenario without an important role for bioenergy, which can particularly contribute to decarbonizing transport in sectors where electrification is challenging, such as aviation, shipping, and long-haul road transport. However, there is a large disconnect between the rate at which bioenergy should be growing in a scenario in line with the Paris Agreement and current market trends. Today, the share of biofuels in transport is only around 3%. Conversely, biofuels in transport would need to grow threefold by 2030 and provide almost 30% of transport energy demand by 2060 to keep up with climate commitments. Most of this additional bioenergy should come from advanced technologies using non-edible feedstocks, including waste and residues. These can also guarantee that biomass is supplied and used in a sustainable way, provide strong net emission reductions, and help to solve important trade-offs, such as the food versus fuel issue. Action is urgently needed to massively accelerate progress. For instance, tripling total biofuels mean that advanced biofuel production need to scale up more than 50 times by 2030. Massive scale-up will not happen without a step change in support policies. In this context, we very much welcome the Biofuture Platform initiative as a way of providing a much-needed new focus and emphasis on bioenergy and stimulating urgent action. We were delighted to participate in the launch event at the last COP in Marrakesh and at the recent summit meeting in Sao Paulo, and to contribute to the development of this initiative. We thank Brazil for its leadership in developing the Biofuture Platform, and we congratulate the countries who are committed to its aims. We believe that the mix of countries involved, developed and emerging economies, is very encouraging, especially given the need to make bioenergy something which grows in every region, rather than being confined to just a few leading countries and regions as of today. For our part, we will be publishing an update of our bioenergy roadmap at the end of this month, which will identify the measures we feel are needed to accelerate deployment of sustainable bioenergy in line with international decarbonization goals. Thank you very much, and again, apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Philibert. So that is a very strong message indeed, tripling the share of biofuels in the transport matrix and multiplying by 50 the production of advanced biofuels. And this is the message that we need to do to reach the Paris Agreement goals according to all the projections by IRENA and by the IEA. And I think this is what the Biofuture Platform is setting out to do in collaboration. But we are approaching the end of our conference, and for the final words, I will pass the floor to Ambassador Marcondes, our facilitator for the platform and head climate negotiator for Brazil.
Thank you, Renato, and thank you all for all the very rich statements that we've listened tonight. I think I'd like to touch on four short points. How much we need to look for, as being clearly stated, on energy alternatives for us to be able to reach our climate goals set in Paris. So there are some solutions, and in terms of transport, it is a very strong alternative and solution that we have there. Technology exists, it's a proven thing, but now we need to go further. We need to look for this advanced biofuels. We need to increase biofuels in general, and that will have positive ramifications in terms of investments, job creation, innovation, and this is a win-win solution. The second point that I'd like to mention is in terms that it does not provide for a solution which is encapsulated only in one issue or one single sector. It involves energy, it involves the environment, it involves the agriculture, it involves forestry, it involves urban residues. We're talking about cellulosic possibilities that are out there on top and beyond the first generation ethanol, which has a big potential, and this bigger potential, it's still there to be exploited. So we cover all these areas. We also talk about, so I mentioned energy, environment, agriculture, forestry, industry, social and economic development, job creation, innovation. So it is indeed a multi-sectoral approach for us to get to to hammer and pave the road for a successful increase of our delivery on the Paris goals. The third point that I'd like to raise is the fact that we're talking about one of the purposes of the Biofuture platform has been, and we see it as a very great potential for sharing experiences. We've heard so many statements today. We heard a lot of experiences being shared in the meeting in São Paulo a few weeks ago. And this is all very positive. We also heard today, and thank you, Plinio, for your very lucid and clear explanation of what the RenovaBio in terms of our situation in Brazil applies. It's still under the motto that yes, action. We need to talk globally. We need to talk work multilaterally. We need to work in collaboration. But yes, actions will happen at a national level. So this is an experience that Brazil has, as mentioned by Dr. Sirkis. It is another way of solving issues, not by imposing, by taxation, but by inducing action. So this is the third point that I'd like to raise. And finally, just to wrap up, the need for us to scale up and to scale up urgently. The sense of urgency is required. What we have all witnessed, the very unfortunate effect of extreme weather events hitting many parts of the world with devastating impact. So we need to act urgently or we shall all regret. But this is a moment for us to be on the positive side. We are working together. The 20 member countries are working together. We intend to bring more of the private sector, more of the academia, and all stakeholders for this joint effort. So I think, as has been mentioned, at this very day, the Biofuture platform is turning 1 year old. And I think for the 1 year old entity, I think we've accomplished a lot, but we intend to have this, this baby to be a giant, taking giant strides for us to reach our goals and increasing our national ambitions. So I'm not gonna start singing happy birthday, but because you will boo me and throw me stuff because I'm a terrible singer. But I would invite everyone to join us for a cup of wine and the birthday cake of the Biofuture platform outside. Thank you all very much.